As always, that night, Mother was out of the house, attending important political meetings. As always, there I was, sitting idly in front of a mirror as a servant combed my hair. As always, I was alone, despite my young age. Brother was living at Father Stam's dojo, training hard so he could get Mother's approval. I believe at some point he will grow and loathe her as much as everyone in this family does. Sister is somewhere still in this house. She still hasn't given in to Mother's insults and haunting words. She still hasn't been pushed away, like Tatsuya. I request alone time. I am too overwhelmed, I said, my child voice quite noticeable in matching my words. Yes, Hanadono, as you wish. The servant nodded, leading me out of my room and closing the door behind her. She stood next to the sliding door, watching me walk away. I painfully looked at the walls and floors. They held no decorations whatsoever. It was pure nothing. A sweet scent emerged from the kitchen, inviting me inside. There stood my sister, kneading dough so laboriously. I slightly admired her, hiding behind the doorframe. Need anything, sis? She called, smiling lightly as she kept skillfully kneading the white dough. I jolted when she noticed me, making me come out of my hideout and face her. I, with a straight posture and locking eyes with her, approached my sister. May I be your aide? I asked. My sister seemed to take a moment to process my request before laughing lightly. You can pass me the red bean paste, she finally said. Her laughter had now gone down, but a kind smile was now remaining. I nodded before quickly searching around the kitchen until I found a dark reddish paste on a bowl. I soon picked up said bowl and presented it to my sister. I helped her knead the dough and stuff the dough balls with the red bean paste. She opened the big oven and carefully placed the tray with raw bean bread inside. Don't get too close to the oven, Yin. You can get hurt, my sister said. Only in rare occasions I was called by my first name, and it made me happy. I nodded at her instructions. She smiled once again as she patted my head. Let's clean this place up. I was washing the dishes while my sister swept the floor. Though we don't talk much, it was enjoyable. You know, I'm thinking about leaving Asayuka, she said almost in a mumble. I glanced at her, tilting my head. What for? I want to be away from this place and Mother, to try and live my own life somewhere else, she replied before looking at me intently. And, well, if that's all right with you, I want you to go with me. I widened my eyes, glimpsing slightly. I was really surprised by her daring request. I know you already have a life here, she continued. A man you're supposed to marry, a path you're supposed to follow, but you can do so much and be so free wherever else. Whatever you choose to do, I will support you to the fullest. My husband and I don't really mind having you with us, so don't think of yourself as a burden. I stood idly, looking at nothing, my thoughts consuming me. No, haunting me. What was I required to answer? That was even the right answer to begin with. I belong here. All my life has been planned already, but leaving this madhouse also seemed like a good option. Before I could even reply, the kitchen door harshly slid open. Mother was here. Hana, dear, there you are. I didn't find you in your room. I was scared. she exclaimed, soon rushing next to me and placing her hands over my shoulders. Her worried expression soon turned into anger when she saw me holding a clean, wet plate. "What are you doing?" I was just helping her clean." "Do you take my daughter for a low, hideous servant?" Mother yelled angrily at my sister, slapping the plate away from my hands. Said object fell and broke into 1,000 shatters, sounding loudly. "She should not be doing these things. That is what the servants and you are here for." "Am I not your daughter too?" my sister yelled back, standing up and facing Mother. "Did you forget who took care of Yin when you were away? Who dealt with these responsibilities and burdens that weren't supposed to be carried by her at that age? Who raised herself when you weren't the woman you are now? Before you created this cult? Before you met Kitamara? Shut up." Mother harshly slapped my sister on the face before grabbing her by the hair and dragging her out of the kitchen. Of course, I panicked. Mother and my sister would fight quite often, but they never went this far. I ran after both of them, crying and holding my mother's yakata. "Mother, stop! Please let her go! Mother!" Mother slapped me away. I was still a child and I was very frail. Not only did she easily push me aside, but she also left a mark on my side, both my physical and mental state. "Take Hanoa back to her room and prepare her to attend the next cult members," Mother said, not even paying heed to my sister's yells and curses, nor to her crying daughter. "Yes, Hanoa-sama," the servant that was standing in front of my doorstep a while ago muttered, carefully placing me on my feet and leading me back to my bedroom. She began to She began to brush my hair and putting me in my wise saint clothing. In her eyes, I saw grief and pity, sadness. There was so much she probably wanted to tell me, but she couldn't. It didn't take long for Mother to arrive, shooing away the servant, as she was now the only one fixing my hair. "You know I love you, right?" Mother hummed in a sweet tone that unnerved me deeply. "You know that all I do is for your own good, right?" "Yes, Mother," I replied, looking at my own emotionless reaction in the mirror. "That woman only sees you as a servant, nothing more. You are calm and you help anyone without caring who they are. It is a marvelous and beautiful trait, but many people outside this shrine, much as her, would abuse your kindness. I want you to understand that," Mother said, placing my hat over my head. "Yes, Mother," I spoke, my voice suddenly lower and monotone. Dead, lifeless, the voice of a person who has given up all hope. "Oh, are you mad?" Mother's voice was dark and fearful. I shivered lightly, feeling Mother grasp my face a bit too harsh. She looked at me sternly, not a single speck of love or motherly emotion in her face. "Deities aren't allowed to feel anger, remember? Sadness, anger, jealousy, pride. All of those mundane emotions are forbidden to you. Make sure to never let them out unless you want to end up like your sister." Perhaps she meant it, as I would live a miserable life like my sister. But my mind took it as "I will make your face bleed as bad as her." While gasping my injury right forearm, I softly smiled at nothing. "Yes, Mother." "Wake up." My eyes fluttered open, feeling nor tired nor dizzy from my sudden awakening. It was still dark. I sat up, reaching my right arm towards the table to grab my pocket watch. Once I got hold of it, I squinted my eyes as I tried to read the time. 2:15 a.m. "Why have you woken me up so early?" I asked in a whisper because I didn't want to wake up Michiro up. Meditation. Ah, right. I didn't meditate yesterday at all. I put my clothing and footwear as I slightly made my way out of the room. Aww. Michiro's groggy voice called from his bed. He slow and lazily sat up, rubbing his left eye as his head was turned towards me. Ian, where are you going? Meditation. It is important for me to do so, I replied. It's still too early. You can do that later, Michiro complained between two tired whines and groans. No can do. This is, I say once more, important. I shook my head. Honey-jin, we'll have you meditate as much as you want. Now get in bed before you catch a cold. Michiro pouted, but I still held my ground. I will keep denying you, Michiro. I'm so sorry. Michiro frowned before sighing heavily and getting out of his bed. Fine, give me a minute. A minute for what, may I ask? I tilted my head curiously. To get dressed, of course. Michiro bluntly replied as he began taking his night clothes off before his bare back could be exposed in front of me. I turned around and closed my eyes shut. I heard Michiro chuckle. I know you said you were going to meditate, but... Michiro said, probably and surely puzzled. Does that even count as meditating? I kept dancing and moving around. My eyes were closed and my breathing was calm. I swung the sword around almost as if battling against someone. In a way, yes. To understand the ways of a deity, I must endure in their festivals and declare the meaning behind every movement I make. These are the tales I have been given. The questions they want me to answer, I exclaimed, my eyes still closed and never casing in my moment. Why are they adored this way? Why are these gods important? What are their stories? Why have I found grace upon their eyes? I get many questions, but I also gain many questions, meaning I am growing as a person and as myself. Okay, Michiro hummed. We're still training like usual after this, right? Pardon my rudeness, but I would like, if possible, that you speak no further, I said, almost apologizing for my request. I cannot concentrate as well. I received no answer from Michiro, but I could feel his eyes intently staring at me. Oh well. Second person POV. The second day wasn't as Michiro planned. He stayed awake all night planning the perfect 4 days with you. He wanted to surprise you with a morning breakfast, then increase your stamina by walking around beautiful grass and flower fields and cloud gaze, have sparring matches to let you win so he could see you smile. Michiro wanted to be the gallant man in front of you. I emphasize, he wanted. Because after what happened yesterday in the kitchen and last night on the deck, he became independent on your kindness and motherly attitude. Michiro felt so nice and safe, like he could let all of his emotions with you. All of his worries and blurry thoughts disappeared. Only tranquility and warm feelings of wholeness remain. There was nothing else to think about but you. He wanted to have as much of those precious moments with you as he could. Everyone and everything could fuck off for all Michiro cared. The pillars, he barely knew some. The other members of the Demon Slayer course. Wait, there were more of those? The forehead guy and his annoying companions. Forgotten. Now, in Michiro's blurry, monotone world, only you and him mattered. At the Butterfly Mansion, Kayako was inspecting Zenitsu's mouth, a deep frown aside from the small dark circles under the infant's eyes, expressing his concern, fragile and expression. He already checked and treated Tanjiro and Inosuke's sprains and injuries, now attending bedridden Zenitsu. The small kid soon sighed deeply, running a hand over his black strands of hair, and then looking through the notes of his small notebook. I don't understand. I always run the test carefully, and there were no side effects that could worsen his health. I make stronger versions of the previous medicines, but he's still the same. I just don't get it. At least you helped both Inosuke and me. Tanjiro, who was sitting on his bed, smiled kindly at the black cat. I think you should have some rest. You deserve it. But Kenpachiro is right, Inosuke claimed proudly, standing on his bed. Whim will be worried if she finds out you skip sleep and your meals. How are you going to get stronger? How will you be like me? True, Kayaka hummed, guilty, looking at the floor. Sorry. Let's go find acorns and flowers for Yin, Inosuke announced as he picked up Kayaka. Remember, Kayaka must sleep, Inosuke-san, Shinobu added, making Zenitsu drink his medicine. Of course he will. I got tons of great stories to tell Kirito before bed, Inosuke crackled, leaving the room alone with Kayaka, heading to the garden to pluck out plants and chase animals away. I must make sure Kayaka doesn't let Inosuke inside the lab once again. Last time they almost set the lab on fire, so I will take my leave, Shinobu said, standing up and leaving the packet on Zenitsu's nightstand before heading towards the door. Another stronger version than that one. He must take this injection before bed. Yes, ma'am. Yahweh. Yahweh. Ayo nodded before glancing at Zenitsu. Kayaka spent 2 days straight without sleeping just to make your medicines. As soon as you recover, you're going to thank him properly. Yes, Zenitsu whimpered, shrieking into his bed in fear. Ayoi scrunched her nose before opening the door. Are you going to prepare dinner? Tanjiro asked. Not really. I already got everything done. Why? Ayoi asked back. The Reddit got out of his bed and stretched before looking at the female with attentiveness. I'll make for more food. I'm so restless because of Kayaka's medicine, and both Inosuke and Kayaka eat a lot. So I'll help you. Go rest. Don't think you're all fine just because you have a small energy boost. You need strength for tomorrow's training, Ayoi demanded. Besides, Hayo, Koyo, and Sumi are making sure either Kayaka nor Inosuke set foot in a gust of wind, followed by a tall figure zoomed in front of the female. The laughter of that elite from the figure was enough for both Tanjiro and Ayoi to know who it was, or who they are. Again? Seriously? Ayoi fumed. Koyu, Nayo, Sume, I told you to stop letting Kayaka in the kitchen. Tanjiro smiled triumphantly at Ayoi, who turned around with a grunt. Fine, come help me. No, Yin compliments allowed, though. Sure, Tanjiro nodded, closing the door behind his back. Zenitsu slumped over his bed, wincing as he carefully moved around in waste efforts not to hurt himself. Were you worried about him? He wondered, opening one of his small-sized hands. 4 tiny spiders were running around his palm, biting him ever so often. These are the last ones I have, he said under his breath, before taking a spider with his free hand. He looked at the spider, which was still alive and its small legs flailing around in a desperate attempt to flee from Zenitsu's grasp. He slowly placed the spider inside his mouth, feeling the bug sting his tongue painfully. He clenched his mouth, trying very hard not to scream at the torturous pain, and quickly chewed the spider, killing it. The sound of the spider crunching was horrendous, and its sour, ink-like taste was enough for Zenitsu to make him almost throw up. He swallowed the now dead spider with one big gulp. Zenitsu grabbed the other spider, wasting no time to chew it, and just swallowed it. The spider stung Senizu's throat, making the male goggle and growl with intense agony. He could feel the spider's leg crawling up his throat to his tongue. The blonde acted quick and drank his medicine and washed away the spider. Once again, he felt like vomiting, but he held the sensation back as much willpower as he could. I hate this so much. Oh, better not show your face around here ever again. And boy, he never did, Inosuke proudly said, making fighting and victorious movements before resting his hands over his hips. That stupid wolf and his gang were nothing but child's play to me. So awesome, boss Inosuke. That was amazing. Kayaka pumped, standing on his bed as he flailed his arms around and began punching at nothing, as if fighting against air. Those wolves surpassed you 4 against 1, but you still won. And you were bitten and you got scratched, and there were many, but you never stopped fighting. Damn it, of course I'm amazing. Inosuke scoffed, feeling happy and too overwhelmed with all the praises he was given. He would normally seek for a plethora of approvals, but Kayaka was too much for him in a good way. Inosuke then wrapped Kayaka with a blanket on his bed, the kid now looking like a big caterpillar. Now close your eyes and sleep. I'll wake you up when Yin's letter arrives. You promise? Kayaka spoke almost in a whimper, snuggling inside the cocoon-like blanket. Pinky promise. Inosuke blurted out. His head soon stirred lightly, like a normal headache. A faint vision came into his mind, perhaps a memory. Pinky promise, I will always protect you, and I promise that. Oh my God. There was that kind smile again, and that soft voice, so much like yours. Well, maybe not a voice as malicious as yours, nor a smile as bright as yours. My hand is stuck. I can't pinky promise. Kayaka giggled softly, getting Inosuke out of his small trance. Yay, sleep. Inosuke stood there in front of Kayaka's bed, watching the little kid finally wander off to dreamland. Inosuke took his boar mask, showing his calm yet kind face. Damn it, how greatly he adored that kid. Inosuke was about to leave the room, but stopped himself. Thank you, Inosuke. Oh, thank you, Inosuke. I entrust him to you. Inosuke-san, is Kayaka sleeping? Shinobu whispered as she slid the door open, careful not to make any noise. Her words were abrupt halt when she saw Inosuke sleeping soundly aside Kayaka. The green-eyed male was hugging the child protectively, careful not to squish Kayaka nor waking him up. Shinobu smiled, closing the door. Aw, those two.